Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So what do we do? 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, my delicious little babies, okay? Now then, yeah, another grey sky today. It's been rather miserable, on and off drizzling. In our old England, in my neck of the woods, my delicious little babies. I mean, it may be different wherever you are. I hope the weather, is super duper and delicious. I never needed to stumble in, and that you're having better weather than what we are, my delicious little babies. Okay, so yeah, very little wind, and that's the weather forecast. Okay, and I hope that life is treating you all most deliciously wherever you are. Okay, now then, my delicious little babies. So. Right, okay, so I've got just, is it 2 or 3? Oh, no, I did that one yesterday, didn't I? So, and the time is, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? It's 10 to 3 in our old England in the afternoon, my delicious little babies, on the 13th of October, 2025. Now then, so that doesn't mean no. So... yeah, I'll let you know that one yesterday, didn't I? 1.98,000, sorry, on YouTube. They're all on YouTube. Capital F in the old space bar. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, final space, capital M moments. That's the upload of my delicious little babies. I'm pretty sure I said it yesterday, didn't I? My delicious little babies. He confronted the surgeon who killed his mom. What she did next sealed her fate. Okay, my delicious little babies. It's not called Final Moments. It's called True Crime Doc. Oh, it's one of those, my delicious little babies. It's one of those, okay? Yeah, I'll just repeat it once again. He confronted the surgeon who killed his mom. What she did next sealed her fate. Right, okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, I don't know whether I ticked this off yesterday and I never said it. Okay, my delicious little babies, or I may have said it. And still ticked it off. Yeah, what's basically happened in this little video, my delicious little babies. It's not very long. What is it, 20 odd minutes long? So it's not long, my delicious little babies, on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's called True Crime Doc. Capital T, capital C, capital D, all spaces, my delicious little babies, can. Well, you see, this young man, all he had was his lovely dear mum, bless her. She'd worked all of her life, and was it 40 year? Over 40 year. And anyway, so she fell poorly, and well, basically, long and short of all this, and it was just so sad, because this man now, he never got out from behind bars, my delicious little babies, until how old was he? 63. Okay, my delicious little babies. But what you got to remember here, my delicious little babies, and it does go on all around, there we are, all over the world. Okay, my delicious little babies. From when somebody goes behind bars, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, in America, it was, and I'd seen this quite a long time ago, my delicious little babies. Is it $3,000? Is it $3,000 a month? Or is it $3,000 a week? I cannot remember that. I know it's one of those, my delicious little babies, and that's per head. That's per mankind, man or woman, who's behind bars, my delicious little babies, okay? So we must remember that this, there we are, too, is colossal. Ching, 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 big big business, my delicious babies. See, I stumbled there every reason to. So you imagine if that man who killed the surgeon, my delicious babies, was behind bars for 25 years, my delicious little babies, Kai. Well, that's a lot of ka-ching, 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 isn't it, my delicious little babies? Okay, because they usually over in Barney in the USA, they usually get much longer sentences, don't they, my delicious little babies? Do you see what I mean? Well, he went up to getting back to what happened. So that's all he had. He was a mechanic. And, you know, all he had, he adored his mum. He just adored her because they only had each other. I mean, it is truly, there we are, it is truly sad, my delicious little babies, when you really look at it. Okay, my delicious little babies. I'm not saying what is right and what is wrong. I'm not. I'm just simply simple things, giving out the video, the information. But he went up to this surgeon, who, by the way, was on, what was she on? A heart surgeon or something. $425,000 a year. My delicious baby. She was living in, you know, like one of her homes or whatever, her home, which is over $1 million. My delicious little baby's cat, and she seemed to have treated, let's just say, the ones who are extremely wealthy very different. So to you know, to this poor dear lady, this dear man's poor dear mum, and she treats others the same. Now, it turns out that there was a few, you know, he had as well, like a settlement out of court, my delicious little babies. But it turned out he was not the only one, my delicious little babies, okay? So on this particular day, you know, because he was checking movements and, you know, things like this, and, you know, okay, my delicious little babies, well, he never held back. And, well, he shot her. And he killed her. My delicious little baby's cat. Now, he never had any remorse. Well, we have to say, like I said, I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just giving out the information to do with the video, my delicious little babies. But at the same time, you know, let's just say some mankind, bless, and I will say bless, they will not go any further. You know, they'll say, okay, there's been neglect. You know, you try and take these efforts to court and you get nowhere, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? They seem to have like a shield of steel. Okay, my delicious little babies. But others, in these occasional cases, my delicious little babies, okay, I'm pretty sure it's not so occasional. Okay, certainly not in China, which I mentioned a while back, my delicious little babies, okay. But in, you know, some cases, they simply feel that they've got nothing left to lose. But what he received was it $75,000, which after paying everything, medical bills, paying everything, and his dear mum's service, and, you know, and everything like this now, then he was left with over $8,000, my delicious little baby's cat. But that wasn't the point. What he's saying, the point is that it's no amount of ka-ching could bring his dear mum back. Okay, so I just thought it was worth saying. Like I said, I'm not too sure, unless I did mention it quick. Anyway, I need to go back on my videos, my delicious little babies, anyway. But I just thought I'd mention it. I may have mentioned it. Okay. Anyway. The final two, my delicious little babies. So you've got here, this uploader happens to have 139,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And this is called, now for some of you, my delicious little babies, you will know this, but for others of our delicious little babies, you may not, okay? And it's called capital N in the old space bar, my delicious little babies. Nuggets, okay, as in a golden nugget. Space capital N news. So it's Nuggets Space News. That's the upload of my delicious little babies on YouTube. And the video should read Tartaria, orphan trains, repopulation, hidden history, and more with Guy Anderson. I mean, for the alternative media, bless, with anybody not in that way, they will know who this man is. But for others of you martyrs, little babies, you will not know. I'm pretty sure I've seen him a couple of times before, It's got to be, there we are, a long time back, okay? But I wrote this down, so just repeat it again. Tartaria, orphan trends, repopulation, hidden history, and more with Guy Anderson. It's just over an hour long, my delicious little babies, okay? And it's really, really interesting. I listened to this morning. My delicious little babies happened to come up on my feed. So this was not me searching, for something, okay? It came up on my feed. And, well, it was a most interesting conversation, my delicious little babies, okay? Put it this way, I never got one bit bored with it. Not at all. Okay, my delicious little babies, well worth a listen to that. It seems that this man now, there we are, happens to be, there we are, and he sold an awful lot of books, Guy Anderson. He seems to be, there we are, extremely knowledgeable on subjects and topics, my delicious little babies, okay? So, well worth a listen to that video, should anybody have them to have any form of an interest, okay? He talks about a bit about the Freemasons, he talks about, and of course what he also talks about, which is what I really loved in this part, about what he said, and like I'm just about to say again, not in that way. What I really loved is when he said, everybody should switch off their, I call it a box in the corner of the room, where he said everybody should switch off their television, you know what I mean? Okay? Because his thoughts, there we are the same as my thoughts, my delicious little babies, kind. I thought this, there we are, long time. The fact of the matter is, his words was propaganda, there we are, which is true. But if nobody listens to it, then where are they going? I've said this long time. So I did really agree with what he had to say, And he was really quite passionate, only for a short part, but he was very passionate about what he said, He's not interested if somebody comes up to him, to himself, bless, and says, oh, did you hear what's something? He's really not interested. And furthermore, there we are, he lets them know very nicely. You know what I mean? But of course, that one who was interviewing him, on his video, Martin Babies, he says, oh, well, like this. But the point is what your dear man here was saying is, it's like everything, it's like all these hoaxes and everything. Because what he's saying is, there we are, absolutely, I got him, there we are, bang, 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 where he was coming from. Just like what went on in America a few weeks ago, the Cork one. Well, like he said, he says, well, what else were they doing? There we are, when that was happening, absolutely. See, I've been saying on my videos, when ones are getting distracted, me personally, I never believed in it anyway. Anyway, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just making a point to just saying, okay? To me, there we are, there was something else, okay? And I'll stick by that. But that's not my main concern. My concern, right, is to do with everything right now, everything what's going on. And let's not forget about these bloody damn treaties to do with the World Health Organization. So we mustn't take them off our radar either, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? I know that there are some out there, bless. What's his name? James Roguski. Okay, he's one of them, bless him. And not in that way with anybody, like I just said. And you have got some others, bless them, to keep their eyes on the ball here. Do you know what I mean? But they're giving us so much that ones are not sure whether they're in the park of the pictures, my delicious little babies, but how many times have I put like as a title to my video, we must not be distracted, we must not get distracted, we must keep our eyes on the ball. There we are, do you know what I mean? And that's what your dear man here was saying. So while everything else is going on, you know, and there's too much, and that's why I said, I mean, these are supposed to be for some of them. I'm not talking about all of them, Martin Babies, but for some, you know, for some, and they call themselves, I don't know, the alternative media. I mean, I'm no journalist. I never want to be a journalist, Martin Babies. I do this, there we are, as a hobby. There we are, that's it. It's just I do it as a hobby. Just like I did my readings as a hobby. But flip me, if that's what the word journalist means, gosh, gee whiz, I'm flipping so super duper glad. Slap Martha that I never flipping went to no university to become a journalist, because if that's what they call themselves, I feel like they need a checkup from the neck up, man. I mean, how can they keep giving out this bullshit that we are to everybody? You know, things are really getting on my flipping nerves, my delicious little baby. Just like, I'm not shouting at you, okay? How I love you also. Thank you for any views, for any likes, okay? I just get damn frustrated because we've got little bands who are suffering in the world, okay? All over, there we are, all over the world. We've heard that we are so much in our decades, my delicious little baby. See, I'm stumbling here again. I'm not changing my video. It's just my frustration sometimes, my delicious little babies. So we got that going on, torturing, all of these wicked and putrid things going on. Okay, my delicious babies, where they're trying to lock us in, 15-minute cities, all of this digital ID. Okay, my delicious babies, and whatever else they want to flipping well throw at us. Okay, my delicious little babies. So you've got all that going on. I mean, yes, you know, I do agree. There are some lovely things in the world. I do agree with that, but hold on. Let's just have a check-up here with our noddles. The fact of the matter is that we need to, you know, to make sure that little babies, are protected, that teenagers, are protected. You know what I mean? And for mankind, I mean, this has just become, so flipping damn well crazy. But for the fact, and I'm going to repeat again, that it's all, done in our birth races. This is just unreal, man. Unreal. I mean, I do not have none of these blooming qualifications. Anyway, I don't want them. There we are. I'm super duper flipping glad. There we are. I'm highly flipping effing delighted. Because I wouldn't want to be flipping brainwashed like that and then give out a load of bullshit flipping daily. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? That's not what this is about. So in a way, you know, this is very interesting to watch. I've said this before, my delicious little babies. It's very interesting to watch, you know, because it truly is. There we are, sorting out the wheat from the chaff. There we are, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, my delicious little babies. So we will continue, to watch the flex. Okay? So, you know, I really just get really, you know what I mean? You hear about all these terrible things that happen to these little babies, to these little teenagers, to, you know, then you've got our poor adults as well, you know. They've been, as well as our little babies, little teenagers, for some, you know, over here in our old England and all over the world. You know what I mean? Just being constantly poisoned with everything, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Especially those, bless their beautiful dear little souls, with illnesses. These fake, putrid, flipping, not so friendly quacks have an effing field day, don't they, my delicious little babies? Just like these effing surgeons and doctors and nurses in hospitals, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Do you follow me? Please and thank you. One's turning blind eyes, social services, there we are, everything. I mean, it was really bad over in America. Born in the USA, oh yeah. But we have it here as well, my delicious little babies. Draw a line down there, you know. So you've got a mother, there we are, who loves and cares about her bairns, or a father who loves and cares about his bairns. And then this damn sharty system now will hand the little babies either over into care or foster parents, or to the wrong mummy or daddy. Do you follow what I'm saying, my delicious little babies? But of course, with the majority of social services, what do? There we are. They turn a blind eye. My delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Because they're getting paid the ching, 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 which pays for their mortgage, pays for their wheels, pays for their material. There we are, laugh, my delicious little babies, you know, pays for their bills, to what they're accustomed to. There we are. Do you see what I mean? This is what all this is about, isn't it? But behind it, wickedness and putridness, there we are, takes place. I'm not saying it's about every single social services, okay? Because I do know, actually, of some, there we are, over my decades, there we are, who was a social worker, there we are, and came out of it. They just didn't want to be in it. They just said it was the pressure, there we are, the pressure of being a social worker. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, okay, fair enough. I suppose in any job role, one would have a little bit of pressure. We all have. I mean, I was in jewellery for over 10 years, as a carer for over 20 years, even delivering my parcel, I loved that job. The care maids, little babies, I really adored that job, I really did. But you do have a bit of pressure at times, fair enough, but not that kind of pressure. So what else, there we are, is going on? There we are. And I thought that back decades ago. There we are, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? I thought, what would cause that? So, yeah. Wouldn't just constantly have pressure like that, would you, my delicious little babies? Do you understand what I mean? Without, there we are, something else being, let's just say, not correct now. Do you say? So, anyway, so that's that, maybe I've gone on a bit, but there we are. I just feel it's just better just to get it, off my chest. I mean, please do not get me wrong. Usually, every day, there we are. I've said this before and I repeat it again. I always find, there we are, something, there we are, to laugh about, okay, each and every day. I always do, my delicious little babies. And it is lovely when you hear beautiful stories, okay? But at the same time, we mustn't let anything distract us, there we are, from what these, there we are trying to do to us, my delicious little babies. We must not take our eyes off the ball at all. You see what I mean? Now then, the final one, my delicious little babies, and then I'm going to be over and out, okay? So, the final one is Sheikh, capital S, Sheikh, space Imran, and then space Hossein, capital H, my delicious little babies, okay? So it's Sheikh, Imran, Hossein, 1S. Okay, my delicious little babies. This uploader happens to have 530,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. 530,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? Again, on YouTube. And this is nearly 55 minutes long, my delicious little babies. And it should read the title, Dr. Olsey, the history of Britain's role in the return of the Jews to Palestine. Okay, my delicious little babies, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Dr. Olsey, the history of Britain's role in the return of the Jews to Palestine. So now I'm going to close my book. I'm almost at the end of that video, my delicious little babies. I've got less than a quarter to go listening to it. Okay, my delicious little babies. I've already listened to a lovely UK column, on our old YouTube, my delicious little babies. And they managed to get their old channel back now, my delicious little babies, as well, UK column. So it may not be under UK column news, it may be under UK column, but anyway, nevertheless, you could probably click a like on both of those and comment if you wish to comment, although they do prefer it if you go to if you get to their website, my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? And and what else was it that I just wanted to say? Yes, you see, here's my thing now, okay? I'm not ignorant to anything, okay, my delicious little babies. I'm always willing, there we are, to listen, okay? But when it comes to wars and things like this, I do tend to, there we are, stay neutral, because at the end of the day, I do not want to say, oh yeah, they should just, bomb the crap out of somebody or something, because the way I see it is, mad little babies, nobody wakes up, I'm going to repeat it again, I'm not going to keep rambling on about this. Nobody wakes up in the morning and just says to themselves, okay, I'm going to shoot somebody, I'm going to kill them, or I'm going to bomb them, or I'm going to do something like this, okay? And as I said, long time, there we are, long time, who benefits from all of this? Because it's certainly not us out here, Martin babies, okay? And they're the ones, the putrid governments who want, our sons and daughters and everything, in the world, Martin babies, to go on the front line, but they don't send their own, and they don't send the damn selves, do they? So I listened to all of these, okay, but you've got lots of different ones. Yes, this is very interesting. Okay, Matt, there we are. It is very interesting to listen to, okay? I've listened to others, there we are, as well, to do with other channels, and I have advertised, there we are, over the months, from time to time, to do with a different side of situations. But the full truth is, we do not know all of the truth. That's the full fact of the matter. So we would know some parts, but we wouldn't know other parts. Do you see what I mean? About exactly. But I'm not surprised one bit that our old England was involved somewhere. Not at all. Nothing surprised me at all. You have to see why we've got, some of the problems there we are that we've got now, isn't it? You see what I mean? So you have to look at, but somebody has got the books there. Somebody's got something, you know what I mean? And they certainly do not want any of us to read it. My delicious little babies, you see what I mean? So, but yeah. So I've been listening to that anyway, like I said, and I'll just listen to the last bit of it, okay? So that's really all that I have to say. My delicious little babies, okay? I did not need to stumble there, but no. You see, I just feel that when we keep getting back to the matter, there we are at hand, my delicious little babies, okay? Keeping our eyes on the ball, not getting distracted with other things, my delicious little babies, okay? Because this is what they want, okay? But in the meantime, how many, there we are suffering? That is the question, my delicious little babies. So that's, all I've got to say, really, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? But yeah, you can hear all different versions and different, and I'm not saying that, at the end of the day, I'm not saying who's wrong and who's right, my delicious little babies, because to be perfectly honest, I personally have not delved into the history of different countries, my delicious little babies, Kai. I mean, I used to enjoy history when I was at school, many moons ago, my delicious little babies. However, did I believe in it all? No. I never really liked school, my delicious little babies. I just thought it was, there we are, extremely boring. There we are. And a load of bullshit. And plus the fact that, I was never really one who liked being told what to do. Do you understand what I mean, my delicious little babies? To go to the toilet, or, you know what I mean? Well, why should you have to ask permission to go to the toilet? As an example, my delicious little babies, do you understand what I mean? So no, so yeah. And one last thing I want to mention, yes. So I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they happened to be telling myself that in a lot of these nurseries, in a lot of these schools, that they're not allowed to have salt in their food, or even salt in desserts. Do you know what I mean? Because in some desserts you do have salt, don't you? Like as an example, there we are, salted caramel, for an example. My delicious little babies can. Well, you're not allowed to have salt. Well, we need salt in our bodies. So somebody, there we are, needs to be damn well talking to these damn schools and damn nurseries. They really, really do. Because that is not helping the bairns or the little toddlers. you need a certain amount, there we are, of salt in your body. We all do. So this is what I'm saying, you see. This is a problem that we've got. There's so much, there we are, that needs undoing. There we are, Mads little babies, okay? I mean, if I was to, say, get one of these A4, a brand new A4 pad, right? You could bet your bottom dollar I'd probably fill flipping half of the flipping book. Just with a list of all the things, there we are, that have got to be undone to try and correct this shat. You see what I mean? And sometimes, yes, sometimes I do get rather carried away, mad little babies, but you know what? It's just, there we are, sheer damn well frustration. I mean, there's so many out there, mad little babies, okay, who have these qualifications, from university, who have these qualifications, mad little babies. Why couldn't we have flipping sorted this out? There we are. Why couldn't we have sorted this out by now? Instead of this carrying on, more and more and more destruction. Anyway, my little babies, how I love you all so. Whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one laugh. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves, your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. How I love you so. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye.